All right, guys, we are back with an episode of PuckPod by BD Sports. I'm Brian. I'm with Dave, Christian. You guys already know them by now. All right, Christian, how was your week? We'll open up with that.
My week was all right. I got to diversify the sports I watched this week. Become what's the term called? Footy. I forget the term already. That's how much I love soccer, guys. I already forgot the casual term, but I watched a lot of soccer this week, and that's about it. I work part-time retail, so Black Fridays are terrible, and so my weekend didn't exist. But outside of that, it was pretty good. How about you guys?
Dave?
Good. I mean, great to be back after a long week. I definitely needed that day off last week. Yeah, I was going through it last weekend, and it honestly it hit me until like Wednesday. I needed to like stay off of work for like 5 days in a row, or I needed 5 days in a row to like just complete the thing. Thank God the World Cup started, so I was able to like watch that to get me through it. Me and my dad literally just posted up on the couch for the past like week, just watching every single game. And I got up at like 5 o'clock to watch the Saudi Arabia Argentina game. Anybody who got up for that game, I commend you. I was going for Argentina. I had a little bit of money down on Argentina. Not going
Yikes.
to say with who, not going to say with where, but I didn't get my money wasn't getting pulled through on that game. So that was a bit tough. But yeah, no, 100% glad to be back. Like, I love this routine that we have going on right now. So, like, to miss it for 1 week, it feels like you're missing a part of your life, basically, right? I got the opportunity to watch the whole pod through, but I was just like, I'm in my room trying to listen and like edit a couple of things, and I'm just like, oh, but what about this? But and I'm just like, I'm talking to myself, and it's like 12 in the morning. I'm like,
Yeah, I'll
what
tip.
am I doing here, guys?
I'll tip that you actually like did that editing and stuff while you were sick, so commend you for that. Um, Now let me ask you: were you sick or were you sick?
Oh no, dude. Let's just say fever on Saturday night was touching 39.8. I was like
Yikes.
I was on my chair downstairs, like shivering. Like I had two blankets on me. I was shivering. It was really bad. I was like, oh my God, I've never felt that sick in a long time. It's been a while. So
I had a pretty good week myself. Work, a little bit of school stuff, and a lot of World Cup. And I'm pretty sure like 99% of the population has been watching the World Cup. I'd say. I mean, typically, based on what I've seen at least, I feel like everybody is pretty into it this time around, even though circumstances around it. But before we get into that, because we will be getting into it, we'll go into my favorite part of the pod, caps. So this week, I think that it was pretty good. We beat Philly 3-2. We lost to the Flames. Sorry, we beat the Flames 3-0, and then we got smashed by the Devils 5-1. The Philly game, um, the Flyers were the reverse retros, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of a fan. I like the pants
you
thing
like the
too.
Cooperalls?
Yeah, it's
Nice.
cool.
I
It's
didn't see them
interesting.
in warm up, man. I wish I saw a clip of
Oh,
them in
they're
warm up.
nice.
The
It's
They're
jersey's
really,
pretty
really
mad to
nice.
me. I prefer their 1.0s, but like they're good. They're not too dissimilar from their actual jerseys. So, and I like Philly jerseys, so they're pretty good. They're all right. Yeah,
they
I think they're like, sorry, Brian. I think they're like a good middle of the pack jersey. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
they're not. I wouldn't put them in that low tier. Again, we're gonna go on jerseys, guys. If you guys hate jersey talk, I don't know what to say
My
with
bad.
what to say to you, but like too bad. Like just keep listening.
were
Skip ahead a little bit. Yeah, they're in like that middle tier, I think.
but getting more into the on ice stuff. Flyers are not good. Like they're worse than us, and that's saying something. I think Dave. I think you said to me like they're like now lost 10 in a row or something like that, right?
Yeah,
But
after last night, they lost to the Islanders. I believe they kept it close. I think it was tied going into the third, and then the Isles scored like three unanswered on
the,
them, and it was just like no hope for them.
the only highlight I have like that I think that you guys should check out 100% is the new Strom and Ovechkin combo. Okay, I know on paper it doesn't sound like it makes sense, but I'm telling you on ice it's actually lethal. Then on the other line you have Milano and Kuznetsov, and it's fun to watch them play because they just try to do like tricks and stuff, and they try to do routine passing. But meanwhile, Strome and Ovechkin are just trying to feed each other, and specifically Strome trying to feed Ovechkin. But that's actually how the goal was for the OT winner. Strom wins it, just plays it to the side, Ovechkin kind of in front of his office, like a little bit before, just past the blue line, slams it in on, I think his name is like Felix Sandstrom or something like that. But
That's the backup. Yeah.
yeah. And
That's interesting though about Ovi and Strom playing together, and then Milano Kuznetsov, because you'd say like those pairs, there's similar players on each pair there. That's like if the Leafs put out Matthews with Tavares and Marner and Nylander. That's the equivalent. Interesting that that's where the chemistry lies for you guys.
it's not that it's like the best thing, I'd say. I still like the Kuznetsov Ovechkin pairing, but I think that, like I said, every once in a while, just change it up. I mean, there's
Yeah,
like it won us the game in a sense. Like that Chilo changeup switched the mindset. Then we went to the next game firing on all cylinders. We beat Calgary 3-0, wearing our reverse retros, the most beautiful shirts. But before I talk more about that, Kuznetsov's goal is like vintage Kuznetsov. Skates in on the left, cuts in, beats two guys, just scores like nothing. Then he does the bird wearing the bird shirt. Oh, I can't beat it, man. Um, I also wanted to say having Oshie back this week, that was another big thing. I think that was a big game changer. He actually sits in with Kuznetsov and Strom. He plays a little bit more in the corners, does the dirty work for that line, but you know, Oshie's back, which is a big help to the team. And in the last game, we beat Capital. We lost to the Capitals B team, the New Jersey Devils. You know,
come on.
I think Vanacek might have had
A
the
little bit of
best game of his
respect on
career.
them.
No, we're the B team now. But
Yeah, you guys are
Yeah,
the
there's
Devils
the
B
respect.
team.
Never mind.
I gotta shout out Vanacek. He might have had the best game of his career. Like, dude, he was robbing us like crazy. We ended up scoring on him. It was John Carlson that scored, but at that point it was already 4-0. So like, who cares at that point, right? But yeah, Siegenthaler was good, and my favorite player, Jack Hughes, got the hat trick against us, against my team, which kind of sucked. But that's basically how the
Confirmed
week went.
listener of the pod, Jack Hughes.
Yeah, just making us eat our words every week. This guy just makes us
Makes
eat our words.
makes haters like Dave eat their words because Dave wasn't too fond of the player the first 2 seasons, but I think now he's starting to earn a reputation around for the credibility he's been doing on the ice.
Well, listen, man. Like, you could call me a hater, but like, I think some of the hate was warranted. Like, he didn't kind of listen. I was so accustomed to the Leafs first round picks kind of just stepping in and stepping up right away. So to see somebody like so Matthews, for example, came into the league 40 goals first season, right? Now you have to like I'm gonna take my bias away, like that doesn't happen every year, right? So but I will give respect to Jack Hughes because you know he may have not started like where some people were like, his hype train was up to here. He was starting off over here. But now, he's starting to chug along and starting to chug along. And you brought up a really good point last week, Christian. Actually, you both did. That I wanted to bring up was I believe Bryan said that Jack Hughes is a generational talent. He already is a generational talent. I don't know if he's ever going to hit the generational talent level. Like we've seen the generational talent. And I'm not even going to say like no disrespect at all to Jack Hughes, but Jack Hughes 100% within the next 2 years for the next 5 years after that, I think is going to consistently put up generational talent types of seasons, like point production seasons. And, if you're a Devils fan right now and you kind of got off the wagon after their cup run in 2012 and then a couple missed playoff chances there, I think now is the perfect time to jump back in on them. Jack Hughes, I don't want to like Jesper Bratt. I could keep going down the list. Nico Hischier, like I could gush about them all day, but their play on the ice really speaks for themselves. Bryan knows it. Me and Christian know it now too. We've played them. Actually, I think both of our teams played the Devils probably 4 times over the past 2 or 3 weeks. So we've seen enough of the Devils to know, like these guys are. I'm gonna go on a limb here. these guys are the real deal. Like they're really, really good.
And
Mine's giggling.
there's one more thing I wanted to there's one more thing I wanted to say. Okay, I was so triggered because like at the end of one of the periods, I forgot which one it was, but Kuznetsov and Siegenthaler were just sitting together, just laughing together, just talking. And I saw that and I was like, why couldn't we just keep you?
This is where Brian's thoughts are. This tells you the state of the Capitals right now.
Whatever.
What if
Wait,
Two
what if
former players?
what if Vanacek came over with a couple of water bottles to to give to those guys?
wouldn't be
Give
surprised.
them a little pat on the back. And then Samsonov came through like the ultimate warrior in the room. Just heard his music come
need
on.
some smile.
or the Kool-Aid guy just breaks the wall down.
Yeah, he just breaks the wall down, and it's just Samsonov.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
But like in all seriousness, we're going to the West Coast after. Like we're facing. I think I have it here actually. It's Vancouver, Seattle, Flames, Oilers. So hopefully we come away with 8 points. I'd be happy with 6. 4 is
Those are your next 4 games?
Yeah. 4 is
Okay.
4 is what I'm expecting. Like 4 points, I'll be honest with you guys. Expectations aren't too high right now. But like I said, everybody goes through the ups and downs, right? So yeah, that's where I am at now. I'm at
Caps are in it down, but you were bringing up McMichael to us before. What's up with McMichael?
he's actually doing well in the AHL. He got sent down last week, right like during last episode. I don't know how many points he has, but I saw that he scored in his second game, which is good. Like good on you, McMichael. Big confidence boost, and hopefully he'll come up soon. And I also was watching another like hockey show, and what they said was that Eller actually might have second round pick or first round pick value come trade deadline. So if Eller wants to go to a contending team, anybody needs a solid second to third line center that does really well in the defensive zone in years prior. Asterisk years prior, with lots of veteran experience. You can send us a nice first round pick, second round pick, or prospect. I'd gladly take that.
You're starting the campaign now. I'm gonna be driving on the road tomorrow. You're gonna see the lost and found. Like the dog is lost, please find. And then right below that is Brian's ad. Do you want a Lars Eller, a mint condition Lars Eller?
Used.
Please contact. Slightly used Lars Eller. Please contact the Caps.
Do you want a Dmitry Orlov too? We can retain
2 for 1. Okay.
2 for 1. Retain cap on Orlov. Orlov on 2.6. Top 2, top 3 demon on any given team typically. Sounds like a good deal.
Boy.
Wait, who else needs defense? Who else has a generational talent? Not generational. Well, top 6 talent named Nick Robertson or Matty Nyes over there. How does that sound?
Hey, let's calm down over there, eh?
The backhanded comments all in one little quick burst there, Brian.
Oh, come on. You guys would say no to Orlov, retain 50% for like a second round pick and another prospect, or like a
but
Robertson.
What type of prospect are we talking here?
Like I don't know who's on your prospect chart, but like you guys need a demon, obviously. I mean, I'm pretty sure Riley got injured this week, no?
Yeah,
Riley's injured, Brody's injured, Muzzin's injured, Jordy Penn's injured.
Yeah, dude, half of our at this point, I think Christian's gonna have to be. I think I made this joke the last time, but now I think like even more. Like Christian, were you right-handed? Are you right-handed?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Oh, dude, I think the Leafs are scouting you right now. Like, oh man, you and Justin Hall. You and Rasmus Sandin on the first line.
Me and Mac Hollowell, man. Let's go.
Oh, baby. Good game from him.
I don't know. Dmitry Orlov sounds really good there.
So, Brian, I was just going through your cap friendly and like so on your D,
every D man's up.
Like the rest, every D man's up except for John Carlson. So you've got 6 potential D men that could be moved. And then up front, you only have 5 guys that are under contract for over $1 million this year. The other 2 are Joe Snively and Alexei Protash. Protash is on his ELC. Snively's on $800K. Like, I don't see those 2 as like difference makers, but between Nick Dowd, between Lars Eller, Dylan Strome, Hathaway, Sheary, Johansson, NAK, Nicholas Aube-Kubel, fan of the show, and Sonny Milano. Those are another crop of guys that are UFA. Actually, all of them are UFAs except for Strome. Like, do you foresee a lot of turnover come trade deadline for the team? Now, this is why I'm asking. I don't know if I really see that many trades going down this year because of the stagnant cap. Like, everybody's right up against it. Everybody's gonna have to jump through like a couple of circus hoops in order to get some moves going here. So, do you just hold, like, do they hold out? Is everybody's price gonna get inflated because there's gonna be so many people trying to sell off? Like, how do you see the Caps trade
I
deadline going?
I can't determine how the trade deadline is gonna go, considering I don't know where we'll be at that point. But if it comes to the point where we're not gonna make the playoffs, if it comes to the point where we're just edging out for a wild card spot, I'd be open to selling. I'd be open to selling all the decor. And it sucks to say because I want to see Orlov retire in a Caps jersey. I want to see Orlov finish his career here. But at the end of the day, he has value, right? I want to see Eller finish his career here too, as much as I would love to have like good prospects and stuff. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just attached to the 2018 team. I know I was just saying as a joke that like we should ship him out, but at the end of the day, it's a business, right? And not everybody can stay with us, if that makes sense. In regards to guys like Strome and specifically Milano, those guys maybe should stay with us because like we're obviously an aging team. But if they're worth something, I don't know. They were just supposed to be here to fill in the spots, right? So at the end of the day, it's a business.
Okay.
But
I think I think what you said there is like the telling sign for teams is if you ask them, come trade deadline, you will be just outside of a playoff spot. Would you buy or would you sell? And it sounds like Bryan, you might honestly lean more towards sell for this year, right?
I
Like,
think so.
it sounds like this might be like a St. Louis Blues scenario. Remember when they were kind of outside the playoffs and they sold they traded Paul Stastny. I think it was for like the second time that they traded him to maybe it was either the Vegas or Winnipeg. I don't remember which year exactly it was, but they had traded him to Vegas or Winnipeg, and I think even though they traded Stastny, they ended up making the playoffs that year. But their GM Doug Armstrong was not sold on the team. They were just outside a playoff spot and said, "I don't think we're the real deal. We're gonna make a sell off." They didn't trade a bunch of pieces, but they traded one piece away and still ended up making the playoffs. That's in the cards too. Probably not likely for most teams. I don't really see the Caps doing that if they were to sell off. I don't think I see them making the playoffs, but that's a telling sign that if you're in that spot, you would prefer the selling route.
For me, the worst place to be is like the Minnesota, like where.
The Minnesota Mild.
Yes. When you're
Yeah.
when you're the 16th best team in the league, get into the playoffs, killed in the first round, middling draft pick.
I
That
killed
is.
Dave with that one. It's not that original, Dave.
Minnesota
I'm sure you've heard
Mild.
that elsewhere. Yeah.
Dude, I've never heard that in my life. That was
Really?
really good.
Wow.
You could have left that
I
as
can't take
that
credit.
was your own original source thing there, and I would have believed you. That was really good.
I like to think I've got enough more material, but for that one, I can't take credit for that one. Yeah.
I mean, like,
But I get what you're saying, Bryan. Mediocrity is the worst place to be in sports.
and
when
like,
when you make your fans kind of just feel like apathetic, like that's how
Yeah.
you're feeling right now, Brian. Is like you're just apathetic towards the team. It's like you want to see Ovi get the record, and everybody wants to see Ovi get the record. But for the rest of the team, it's kind of just like they're just there. They're a lot of them are just placeholders at this point. So maybe adding a nice first round, nice early pick, and what's supposed to be, like, by all accounts, a really deep draft. So even if you're not landing on those couple top spots, Connor Bedard, Matvey Michkov,
Adam Fantilli.
Adam Fantilli, I forgot his name, slipped my mind. I saw some of his clips too. Wow.
we have
I mean, maybe if you don't hit on those guys, but like there's especially with like the way that you guys find prospects, Brian, I think is something that needs to be commended. Your GM there, what's his name?
Brian McClellan.
Brian McClellan. He's the one that's like was it not him, or was it from before with Dale Talon? You guys, I don't know, but for some reason, you guys always seem to have like a line of
We
prospects that just keep getting developed with that system. You
the
guys
guy we
have.
just picked in last draft, this Russian
That's
kid,
what I was gonna
is
mention.
insane
Ivan
value.
Miroshnichenko.
Yeah, I can't really pronounce his name right now. I gotta hear it a little more, but it's hard to read, bro. But no,
It's a long one.
apparently he was supposed to go like top 5, right? But then
He was at least a top 15 talent. Like on talent alone, you could argue to pick him that high.
and he I don't remember what he had, but he unfortunately fell to an illness, and then he beat it, thankfully, and now he's doing really well in, I believe, the Russian league. We also have
Yeah.
Hendrix Lapierre, who's
Mhm.
supposed to be
Yeah.
very, very high skilled, and then obviously we have Connor McMichael. I mean, we do miss on picks every once in a while. The one I go back to is Lucas Johansson, even though I do think that eventually he will be in the NHL, eventually, right? But uh, I don't know. We have to give him the chance first, right? But if the team doesn't think he's ready, he's obviously not going to be ready. But anyway, I think that's enough Caps talk. I think that you guys can do your thing. Fire away, guys. I don't know.
Dave, let's start with the Islanders game. I actually didn't get to catch the Islanders game. I was at work for that whole game, so I basically saw nothing. Do you want to? You don't have to fill everyone in on all the details. You don't have to go goal
Yeah.
by goal. But what was that game? Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be honest with you. The whole week, this week was pretty good.
Yeah.
But you know, we started off on a little bit of a sour note. The Leafs, they played. They actually played really, really well. From what I remember from that game, I didn't write any notes down from that game. Sometimes I will, sometimes I won't. I'll just like.
Yeah.
But from what I remember, that was the beginning of the week game. The Leafs were coming off that big win against the Sabres. So,
Yes.
and they kind of like they just had their a bit of swag, and then it was announced before the game that Matt Murray would be getting a rest that game, which was like, you know, fair enough. I'm all in favor. We saw it a couple of years ago with what the Raptors did with Kawhi, a little bit of load management. You can't rely on your starters to play every single game. Fair enough. And Eric Shalgren, in his time in relief, you know, he's had his hits, he's had his misses. And for most of the game, he was actually very, very strong until I believe it was 2-1 with legitimately a minute 50 left in the third, and a brutal giveaway from Shalgren. It was just kind of like an errant pass, went right to the stick of, I for the life of me can't remember who it was on the Islanders that scored. Could have been, I don't know, Kiefer Bellows, could have been Matt Bar. Definitely wasn't Matt Barzal, because I don't even think he might still not have a goal this season. I could be wrong.
I think you just got some this week, but you're literally right. Up until this week, no goals.
Yeah, it was he was on a cold streak, but like whatever. So I know Beauvillier scored in OT. Again, that's another thing. That OT, off the top of my head, I'm trying to do this by muscle memory now. I don't remember how we started, but it lasted longer than a minute, so I guess that was a much more improved than our last couple OT performances that lasted literally 45 seconds max. That one was just like a memory eraser. That would have been a nice win to have on the board, but unfortunately, you only come out of that with 1 point. And I guess we could move on to the rest of the week, where we ended up then picking up wins. So out of a possible 8 points that we could have picked up this week, we picked up 7. So we got wins against the Devils, against
nice.
Minnesota, and against
Pittsburgh.
I lost Pittsburgh.
Oh, it must be really
Yeah, I
nice.
know. We play them
Wow.
so often, man.
Yeah,
Pittsburgh and the Devils.
man.
Wow.
But the
Yeah, I
highlight
know.
of the week, like you were saying, going into that Wednesday night game, the Devils. This is
Well, that was the
13
anticipated
wins
one,
in a
right?
row. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for much great reason. Like, the Devils are, like we said it before, the Devils are a fantastic team. And I would say for most of that game, the New Jersey Devils were kind of running the Leafs show. but the Leafs kind of got a little. If you guys didn't hear it, I don't know. You guys probably had your head in the sand, but the Leafs had, the Devils had 3 goals disallowed due to goaltender interference calls, like overturned
Yeah,
goaltender
two
interference calls.
goaltender interference, and the last one was a kicking motion.
Was the kicking motion, yeah. So I guess we could kind of talk about that. That's been discussed on end.
Yes.
What I will say about that, I will take my Leaf bias aside. The first goal was Nathan Bastian like skate in the crease. I've seen those goals called like for and against. That was a 50-50 call. So
I agree.
So I think on any other given night, that might have counted, right? But on this night, it didn't. The second goal, I've seen a lot of people saying it's another sort of 50-50 call, but I don't get why it would be. Like, okay, so if for anybody who missed it, Thomas Tatar is going behind the net. Matt Murray is also behind the net. And as Tatar is trying to come out in front of the net, his gap way kind of starts to really close on him because Murray's trying to get back into the crease. I believe the puck might have got like deflected like just before the Leafs blue line, so that's why like Murray had to kind of rush back into the net. But because of the collision between Tatar and Murray, like almost behind the net, they decided that the call would be reversed, that it was goaltender interference. The big thing after that game was I saw quite a bit on Twitter was there was a call that went against the Devils a couple weeks ago, where I believe it was Mackenzie Blackwood. It was almost the same situation. It was against the Colorado Avalanche, and instead of it being disallowed, they called it a good goal. So it's kind of like, where's the consistency here? Like, where's the line in the sand? That's the problem that a lot of Devils fans were having, rightly so, because it's like, well, I just said as a biased Leaf fan, like, you know, that first goal could have been 50-50. The second one, maybe I'll say like I'll give it a 75-25 there. The third one, listen, that's a kicking motion. A kicking motion is a kicking motion. We're not in the cup here. Disallowed goal. But, you know, it's strange to see 3 disallowed goals in one game. And you know, the fans in the stadium really let the refs hear it. Cristian, what do you think, like, on any of those calls?
I
Like,
agree
do you
with
see anything
all the
different?
things you said. No. I agree with everything you said about the calls there. And like you said, there just isn't any consistency in the calls, and there hasn't been in the NHL for a while, with especially the goaltender interference. I'm trying to think of an argument to go the other way where that would be a good goal, and I guess it's that Murray isn't in the crease. And so at that point, is that really his ice? Is he supposed to technically wait for Tatar to come by and then go to the net, which seems kind of illogical because he's the goalie. He's got to get to the net as fast as he can. So it's tough, and it doesn't seem like anyone really has a clear picture on that. So I do agree with that first one. It was a 50-50 in my mind, so I totally get Devils fans there. And I guess the problem with that second one, like you said, is that the baggage that Devils fans already have from a couple weeks ago where it went the other way. So I can understand their frustration on that one. The third one, I think some people think like, oh, what the hell? Why are they going crazy over the third one of all of them? It's a distinct kicking motion. It's because in the stadium, you don't see the replay until the call is made. Until the call is confirmed on the ice, fans do not see a replay. So imagine you're a fan in a stadium. You see that third call, you're like, are you kidding me? As soon as you hear it's no goal, you're going ballistic. Now, we get to obviously stuff getting thrown on the ice, beer, popcorn, anything in the concessions, you name it, ended up on the ice. Leafs had to leave their bench, a couple minutes, get the ice cleared, yada, yada. And you're trying to think, okay, where does this stem from? Like, obviously, yeah, the three disallowed goals, but I don't know if really every other stadium in the league would react like that. And the context that Dave brought up to us, especially, that I didn't necessarily think about is he's like, this is happening in the context of a 13-game win streak. What does this look like if it's a 13-game losing streak? And I think the conclusion I came to is when you're a team on a 13-game winning streak, you're probably attracting a lot more fans than usual. it's probably a sold out crowd there in New Jersey. And I'll tell you, when we went to New Jersey with a couple of my buddies, this is right before COVID. This is January. Devils were not good. Was not a full building. Not necessarily the liveliest, but we see right now a winning team in New Jersey gets the fans going. And I think it was just a bit of mob mentality. We've seen that here in Toronto with the Blue Jays, Baltimore,
Yep.
wildcard game,
Yep.
Encarnacion, stop throwing stuff on the field. We've seen that in Toronto.
And
So
the
it's
year
not like,
before as well.
yeah,
The year
yeah. So
before
it's
in
not like we're high and
the
mighty over here.
ALDS. Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're not trying to be
for
high and
sure.
mighty Toronto citizens over here.
Yeah.
And so I think
Well,
my
listen.
theory, I guess, in New Jersey is that it's a little bit of mob mentality. It takes one person to rile up a whole stadium. What do you think about that, Dave?
So it was said. I don't know. Like I don't have anything to confirm it, but if this is the case, like I don't know how to feel about it, but supposedly what happened, what incited the incident was somebody had tossed over their hat to say
Okay.
to signal, a hat trick of disallowed goals, which is actually
That's
really
funny.
funny. If
Yeah.
everybody else kind of came in line with that, and we saw hats on the ice, this whole situation, that is looked at
That
as
would
one
have
of
been
the
hilarious.
funniest things to come out of, especially for Devils fans this year, who got a lot of stick at the beginning of the year when they were chanting to
Yep.
fire Lindy Ruff. And then, a couple weeks ago, a 10-game win streak that they were on at that point, maybe 9 games, and they're like, "Thank you, Lindy." Like, that's really funny. Like,
Yeah.
no matter how you shake that down,
Self-aware.
that's self-awareness at its peak. And now, if somebody had done that and everybody else kind of took it the wrong way, I could understand that, but there was just no need for it. I get it. Like all it takes is one person, unfortunately, and to get a riled up crowd and a fan base like that. Listen, hockey is a sport of bounces, right? Sometimes the bounces are going to come your way. For the New Jersey Devils for 13 straight games, why do you think we make such a big deal when teams hit 7, 8, 9, 10 plus games? Like, the sport itself is made for so much like parity and stuff that you don't see that often. Like, I haven't seen a 13 game. I don't think there was a 13 game win streak over the past couple of years. Off the top of my head, I don't think anybody that hot over the past couple of years, right? So, of course you're gonna have people reacting like animals, and Christian, you did bring up a really good point. You don't see um the replay until the call is made 100%, and then after that, maybe not even right after the call is made either. So it takes just that one split second for somebody to really get upset after the call's made before even seeing the replay. And it's like, oh well, whatever the ref said is complete bullshit because the refs are against us. And it's like, we're all guilty of doing it, guys. Don't sit here and act all high and mighty and saying oh, you never thought once that that the refs were against you. And I know the argument always coming back is, oh, the review
Where's the war
office is
room?
in the war room's in Toronto. It's like, guys, come on, let's get a grip here. The Leafs haven't won a playoff series since I was 4 years old. I was in legitimate diapers the last time that they won a playoff round.
Yeah.
Don't give me that the refs and the league is in cahoots with the Toronto Maple Leafs, because they clearly are not in cahoots with the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think if the Leafs wanted, if they would have rather had it shake down any other way, then that's the way that you win the game. 100%. They take that 10 times out of 10. You want a clean win. Unfortunately, you can't always have that. So that's what I'll say about the New Jersey game. Bryan, I know you wanted to talk about throwing stuff on the ice.
Yeah, actually, the only time that I remember stuff besides hats being thrown on the ice, in a Caps game, was 2017 or 2016. We were in the playoff series against the Flyers. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this is one of the best playoff series I've ever watched because we just obliterated the Flyers. But I think in game 4 or it was when they were at home. I don't remember what it was exactly, but game 4, we are up in the series, and then John Carlson scores a power play goal. We're winning the game 4-1. All of a sudden, you see bracelets coming down, from the ice, from the stands, right, on the ice. And everybody's like, "What is this? Like, why is there bracelets?" It was to actually honor their late owner from that season, Ed Snyder. I don't know if you guys remember this, but at the time it was like,
Yeah.
that is awful. And
Yeah.
oh my goodness, like, I'm just not for throwing stuff on the ice. I'm not for throwing stuff
No.
at anybody, regardless of the situation. Like, I don't like hats are okay. That's tradition, whatever. It's a little bit different, but
Yes.
apparently, wasn't it you guys that were? I'm pretty sure that you guys told me that they were throwing like full cans of beers. Like, that hurts, man.
Oh yeah, like Austin literally he shot one across the blue line as he was getting off the bench. You're just like, let me shoot this one, and just beer spilled out of it.
It's
Like
like you're playing
there was
dodgeball.
beer in those cans, man. Yeah. Yeah, like what are we gonna do? We're gonna go to soccer where you
think-
guys have the umbrellas over the bench, man?
You might have
They
I
to.
hope
might.
not. Hell no.
And then,
It might.
dude, those are like $14 American each, like $15 each. That's
At least.
expensive.
Yeah.
At least that's
Um,
in Jersey. That
yeah.
depends on like the stadium. Like I
I
don't know
guess
if you
probably
saw the
middle of the pack.
prices. Yeah, if you saw the prices out in Seattle, dude, it's like
Yes.
you're spending 55 American for two chicken tender combos. Like combos, sorry. Like that's it. Like it's like the chicken, fries, and a drink.
And a drink. Yeah.
Each two of them for 55 American. So it's like I could only
That's-
imagine. That's probably why like Seattle will never have, or not for a few years, they won't have people throwing stuff on the ice because I think beer there is like $20.
I'll tell you what, the Jersey's
That's insane.
The Jersey's concessions probably paid a lot of money because all those guys that threw a beer probably went up to the stands to get another one.
Shout out to
Yeah,
the
they
Jersey
might have.
concessions. When we were there, we met this guy. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Long Island, but I love coming to Jersey games because they're cheap." And we're like, "Okay, buddy, like, what do you recommend? What do we get here?" And he's like, "The chicken tenders." We had the chicken tenders; they were very good. So shout out to the concessions in New Jersey.
Can't go wrong with the chicken tenders.
You
dude.
can't.
They're
Brian, you brought up
really
the Phillies again. I can never. I can admit to being a kid like that. Like chicken tenders, man. Like I'm sorry, I can have them whenever. I'm like that. Brian, you brought up the Flyers again. I know we talked about them earlier and their 10-game losing streak, but I remembered as well. I saw this before getting on here. This is like their 5th year in a row having either a 10-game losing streak or 10-game win streak. It's just Philly's tradition. I mean, it's Flyers tradition at this point.
On off, on off.
In a
It's
row?
hilarious. Yeah, like for the past 5 years, I'm pretty sure they've had either a 10-game losing streak or 10-game win streak. We will confirm. I will verify for the next episode,
God.
but just from memory,
Lord.
like I remember they had a
Buffalo.
season where they had a 10-game losing streak and 10-game win streak in the same season.
I remember that.
I don't know. Imagine that in Toronto. Like absurd. That would be absurd.
The therapy rates in Toronto would go through
Oh
the
my
roof.
god.
Through the roof.
Yeah, man. It'd be worse than the housing market. The therapy
Oh,
market. Through the roof.
Pretty rough.
Okay, but away from therapy and housing market talk. Back to the Jersey game. I do want to say Jersey once again, like Dave mentioned, played a good game. They deserve to win. Kind of sounds like the first game we played against them. So they played really well. Consistent 60 minutes. That is the impression I got from the Devils in the 2 games we played them. This team does not give up. They are intense from whistle to whistle, and it's very commendable. Other thing we're going to mention here is that was the first game we've played since the passing of Borja Salming, who me and Dave, we spoke about a couple episodes ago when he did come back to Toronto for that awesome ceremony that we had on the Friday, Saturday of the Hall of Fame weekend. Last week, Borja Salming was actually back in Sweden, where I forget the name of the ceremony it was for. I think it might have been just celebrating the best Swedish hockey players of all time, and it kind of did like a whole lineup. I know Matt Sundin was there as well, and Borja was very adamant that he wanted to be at that as well. So just one more time, shout out to Borja on great life he lived, inspiring many Leaf fans and just people in general. And the patch that the Leafs have been wearing since that has been a pretty snazzy patch, and hopefully it does Borja proud.
I saw it. Is it permanent, or is it like just for
It's
like?
probably. I wouldn't be surprised if they wear it for the rest of the season. That's kind of been the common theme for many teams. Like they'll throw a number on for a player who's passed away, or the initials of an owner. That's kind of been the tradition that I've seen, and I've got no problem with that if that's how the Leafs want to do this. And it's
Also beautiful, just a beautiful patch. Like
super
it's very
simple.
very nice. Yeah.
Really simple, just
I have no
Swedishness
problem.
and the Leaf one.
Yeah, it's the old Leaf logo as well, like the one that he would have played like on. Like that would have been like the very like first few years of the change between
Yeah,
the old patch and the Harold Ballard patch, I guess we'll call it.
yeah.
And it's just like so like just honestly hats off to the Leafs org this entire time. Like I don't know if we gave them their prop. I think we did, but we'll give them their props again for beautiful ceremonies that they did 2 nights in a row a couple weeks ago. And then also now going and doing this for I know it's kind of expected now for most professional sports teams to do something like that, but you know, I still think like give credit where credit's due. Hats off to whoever designed that patch. Like it looks really, really nice. And it honors Boria in a fantastic way.
It's snazzy. And one last thing on the Borgia front, Keith mentioned this. I don't know if you heard it, Dave, but just talking about how things aligned, where we talked about them being able to ice the whole Swedish lineup against Vancouver, but also game 21 was against the New Jersey Devils, Borja Salming being number 21, won the game 2-1, and the game-winning goal was scored by Pontus Holmberg, a Swedish rookie. So incredible how things line up. And yeah, it's tough to transition from that, but Leafs moved on, and we had this very odd game in terms of the timing in Minnesota. It caught me off guard. Like I knew it was at 2 o'clock, but even that day, if I didn't just casually have the TV on TSN already, I probably would have missed like the first 10 minutes. You got any thoughts on either of you guys on like afternoon starts? Are you opposed to them? Does it bother you in any way, or is it just kind of this is cool for a change?
Holidays, weekends, I'm good for it. Weekdays, keep it at night. That's my
I
take.
completely agree.
I think it's
Completely agree.
very fair. Very fair. Yeah.
Mhm.
So yeah, we played Minnesota. They wore their snazzy reverse retros. Love them. So nice. And yeah, it was a pretty good effort from the Leafs. Fleury wasn't the best, and that's kind of been what we've been hearing about Fleury for the whole season. I think they were mentioning on the broadcast his home and away splits are absurd. Like he has not been good at home, and he's been lights out on the road. Really weird stuff happened in Minnesota, but they've got enough talent that I think they'll get back into the playoff picture. Probably, I think they could get it 100%. Yeah, takeaways from that game, I don't got too much other than once again, Leafs solid effort. That's been the greatest thing about just the turnaround going back to that Anaheim game is I cannot fault them for work ethic, and that was our biggest complaint. It's tough for me to complain about a team that is just at least trying. I know it's a really low bar, but the Leafs are hitting it. So, anything on the Minnesota game in particular, Dave?
I wouldn't say like honestly for me that game just not really memorable. I had to work like before the third period started, so it was kind of like that game for me is like a little bit of a wash. But one thing I will say though, we'll keep hammering the Anaheim game because I think that was a real turning point in the season, and now we could really see it. Like there's been a sample size. You could really see when the Leafs give not like I know 100% every night is just on like you can't do that, right? Like
Yeah.
but you give 75% effort plus every night and you could see, dude, the Leafs are on an absolute heater. Like let's take a step back and look at some of the previous games. Like, dude, they've only lost like a handful of games since that game against Anaheim. So, you could really tell like when the Leafs are on and they're willing to stick up for each other, they're willing to go to battle that night, there's a really good chance that they come out with 2 points.
Did you guys do you guys see him like were you guys impressed with Matt Boldy at all?
I think Boldy
He's
scored.
good.
He scored a goal.
Yeah.
Boldy's like just from keeping tabs on him outside of like games where he's playing. Like his production has always stood out to me as being like, oh, holy crap, that guy's putting up pretty good numbers for a rookie. Like last year, he was I think like 50 points. He was doing pretty good stuff for a rookie, and I think he's kind of kept pace with that production this year.
I think he might have scored today as well.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll pull up some stats on him, Bryan, if you'd like. But off the top of my head, like I remember noticing him. Like that's what you out of your rookies, like your explosive rookies, is to notice them. Like you want to know that they're in the game. and he's somebody that's on that team. You know, Kaprizov's there. Got other guys on the team, on the back end as well. Matt Dumba,
He's probably at a
but Matt
point
Boldy,
eight,
yeah.
like 0.8 points per game. I'm assuming just based off like
Yeah,
that would make sense. But if he scores against you guys, that's always a good thing for him.
He scored his 9th goal of the season tonight
pretty good.
against my Yotes. 9
Hey.
goals on the season, 15 points. I think that's roughly around. It's only 20
0.7.
games.
Yeah, about
0.7,
3 points
0.75,
every
I
4
think.
games.
yeah 0.75.
So good for Matt Bold, a USNDP product. Brian's boy, Brian's fave.
Who did you guys get in your last game of the week? Pittsburgh, right? Yeah.
We got Pittsburgh. Yeah, just one more thing on the Minnesota game and kind of just a theme since his return. Matt Murray, can't really complain about him. He was good in the New Jersey game as well. And actually, Matt Murray in the Minnesota game. Let's talk about the other little controversy that the Leafs had in their week, where Matt Murray had not a hat trick of disallowed goals, but a hat trick of delay of games, if you want to call them that. At least people thinking they're delay of games knocking off the net. Potential delay of games knocking off the net. So even Minnesota's coach Dean Evison after the game was saying very seriously, he's like, "This is a trend with this particular goaltender. I don't know why." It's just like they're throwing some real shade there, but I don't know, Dave. You can tell me what your take was, but for me, just looking at the replays of the 3 incidences where the net came off, I only thought one was it. I'm like, yeah, I know what Murray's doing there. Murray's trying to do that. But the other 2 look like very innocent push-offs off the post. Murray said as much, saying, like, that's how I play. I push off the post. I'm a big guy. I got to move laterally. That's how I do it. Did anything revolutionary from this controversy, Dave, for you?
So I have 2 things. The first thing, Dean Evison. I've noticed it before, but like especially those quotes that came after the game, that dude is the spitting image of Creed Bratton from The Office, and you can't tell me otherwise. If you've seen The Office,
I'm the one guy who hasn't watched The Office, so
I'm the second.
here, please. Oh no!
God, you guys both haven't seen The Office. Okay.
Okay. Thank God for the people listening.
Okay. Yeah, if you've seen The Office, that dude looks exactly like Creed Bratton, and it's so funny every single time he takes like the stand, especially because he comes in with such a serious demeanor. He just looks like he's like a snarly dude. The second point though that I will make, yeah, no, 100%. If you've been around, if you've been a goalie in the league long enough, you know kind of like what you can get away with, what you can't get away with. I don't know if I've ever seen a goalie
Get away with
intentionally. Yeah, well, I don't know if he's like.
I know
I've
one.
never seen a goalie like get away with that type of stuff that often. Like it's very, very rare. Who's the one? I know that there's one in mind. That who
Okay.
is it? Who do you have on mind, Brian?
Do you guys remember the 2011 Bolts? Like the Stamkos, the Cavalier, San Luis, Malone.
Was
that era?
Dwayne Rollison the goalie that year?
Yes. That year they went to I believe they went to the conference final, and they lost to Boston. It was the year that Boston ended up beating Vancouver in the final. But Dwayne Rollison, every single time we had a chance, moved the puck off the net. This happened like 3 games straight, and it was also when they were doing their. It was Guy Boucher was their coach, and it was also when they were doing their 1-3-1 stuff, like the.
Oh God,
that's the Guy Boucher special.
Absolutely awful.
God.
Absolutely awful.
I remember hating that.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
That's a combo to make your to make you run and rip out your hair.
Do you guys remember when the Leafs had fired Carlisle and there was the rumors of who they were going to hire? It was Babs and the other coach was Guy Boucher. And I was like, dear God, please. Like, I'm pretty sure the story is that Guy Boucher was basically walking into the Leafs office to accept the job, and they told him, "Yeah, sorry, no, we got Babs." I'm pretty sure that's kind of what happened there.
Oh, he was the backup plan.
It was close, man. He was the backup plan.
He then went on to coach Ottawa to a miraculous conference finals run. Like that guy, yeah. I don't know what it is. Like that guy's just somehow not a great coach, but then always in the mix for like
I want to say he's not a bad
deep
coach.
Playoff run.
I would say
you want to talk about a snarly guy.
His tactics just don't lend itself to like modern I don't know.
Definitely not.
I've
That's why
never
he's
liked his
not.
tactics. Yeah,
Me neither. Me
I've
neither.
never been a fan.
They're
So
they're like the way they would do it. I remember it like vividly. It was a 2-2-1-4 check. So like two guys would press, but then they would switch into a 1-3-1 neutral zone. So basically, it would force you to push, but then when you try to exit into the neutral zone from your defensive end, you'd be caught by the three, if that makes sense. So the F1 would just push the puck holder off to the second puck holder, carry into the neutral zone, but then you'd be stopped by the three guys in the line. If you happen to get passed by three guys in the line, you'd be stuck by the one guy sitting on their blue line. It was the most.
Brian, I
Right,
just
give-
want to commend you on your excellent recalling abilities, and I don't know anyone who can recall the systems of teams as well as you. I just
No,
want to commend you on that.
thank
I just
you.
want to take a moment to tell you
you
that.
should see him do it for soccer, dude. It's
It sounds like soccer.
unreal.
Yeah,
I
it's just you
Unreal.
one
I wanted-
formation. Like, yeah,
But I remember specifically because there was a point where Mike Green would just wait. He would just Stanley we would just skate around him, just like, and Green would just wait for him to like go, and then when Green would try to send the outlet pass, and then what can you do? There's three guys there, and then if you so then you can try to tip it in, like tip it into the zone or tip it into the neutral zone. But the problem is they'll always have a guy in the blue line to just collect it first. So if they're up 1-0, you're watching
They
paint
just
dry.
trap you in there.
You're watching
park
paint
the
dry.
bus, right?
Yeah.
Right, you soccer guys, they
Yeah.
park the bus. Yeah,
They do. That's
Or,
the
one last
Jose
thing.
Mourinho specialty right there.
Yeah,
Go
there
up
you
1-0 and just park that minivan right in front of the net. So
I do agree
Brian,
that's
I have
how it
a serious question for you.
Yeah.
Compare Guy Boucher's tactics to somebody from soccer. Like who's the closest equivalent? Would it be a Jose park the bus type of thing?
That's tough because Jose wins.
Yeah, it does. No, like listen, no shade at Guy Boucher, but I don't
Yeah.
think Guy Boucher would have ever taken FC Porto in 2004, 2005 to win a Champions League against some of those like crazy stacked teams back then.
I feel
Dude,
I feel like
You have to
Jose-
also say that Mourinho has a way more personality than Boucher.
Oh, 100%.
That's another one
100%.
off, dude.
The only
Yeah.
thing Guy has going for him is that he looks like he's an extra from the James Bond franchise. He looks like he's a bad
Dave,
guy
you
from the
took
James
the words
Bond
right out
movie.
of my mouth.
that is
You took the words out of my mouth, bro.
That's about
I've
it.
been waiting to say that. Thank you,
I
man.
know. We're trying to interject that somewhere. That's always the
That's
first
funny.
thing I think of. I think
Yeah.
of Casino Royale, and he's an extra for Mads Mikkelsen on
It's-
Le Chiffre.
It's
That's what
the
I
star,
thought.
and
It is.
yeah, but no, 100% no, and the voice too. Like the guy plays this role, man. This guy,
100%.
he knows what he looks like. He doesn't think he looks like a puppy in the mirror. No chance.
No shot.
Yeah. Good talk, guys. Good talk. There. A little sidetrack.
you finish it with
The Leafs.
finish it with
Yeah,
Penguins. Yeah.
I don't have too much to say about the Penguins game other than we came out flying, and once again,
We stayed
great
fine.
effort. 0 to 60 minutes. Crosby so frustrated he might have broke his toe on the bench. And I'll actually take a moment to give props to Mitch Marner's week, who obviously it's been more than a week. He's on what now, a 15-game point streak, or is it 16 games? I think it's 16 because he wears number 16.
yeah.
I remember seeing the graphic of someone's with the jersey. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, total shout out to Mitch Marner. It isn't empty calorie production. It's not secondary assists. It's some goals and it's primary assists and it's efforts like the one that he made in the Minnesota game. I believe it was the Minnesota game where he had an effort where he just went behind the net. He forechecked, got the puck by all means necessary, threw it in front. I think Tavares scored that goal. And then in the Pittsburgh game, in the first shift, the guy was flying and he just absolutely dangled the crap out of Casey DeSmith. It was beautiful stuff. Mitch is on his A game, and we have to give him props because we know that when things aren't going well, he hears that as well. So 100% props to Mitch there.
Is he still PKing, like penalty killing?
100%, and he's fantastic on the penalty kill. There was one game, I don't know
Easily
if we
one of
ever
the
brought it up. Yeah, he's incredible. There was a game probably like 3 weeks ago at this point. I don't remember who it was against, where we did the unthinkable, and it was brought up before the season, which was putting him on defense, like legitimately just rolling him through the lineup. It did not go well. It was against New Jersey. I remember it was New Jersey.
I was going to say he got
T-shirt.
burnt because his
Yes.
quote after the game was, thank God Nico didn't take advantage because, oh my God, he got like
Yeah.
I'll give full credit to an NHL defenseman, and I think he will too any time of the week now because he got turned inside out by Nico Hischier.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say on the Mitch topic, do you know that in only 2 games so far this season, Mitch Marner failed to record a point? That's
some good
insane.
stuff.
The
That's
Leafs
some
have played
consistency right there.
23 games so far.
Yeah.
In 21 of them, Mitch Marner has recorded a and I had pitchforks, I had my pitchfork sharpened, I had my torch sharpened after the Anaheim game. Say it with me, everybody. The Anaheim game. I had my pitchfork ready, I had my torch like lit up for Mitch Marner's like head on a spike after that game. And that guy has like just put his head down, got to work. You absolutely love to see it. That game against Pittsburgh, I don't know if the Leafs looked fantastic or the Pittsburgh Penguins looked shockingly bad. Like
Yeah.
holy smokes, defensively, offensively, they literally couldn't get nothing going. It was like a bizarro, like seeing the Pens uniform with Crosby and Malkin in them, and them not absolutely running, stomping us into the ground is like bizarre because every time that the Leafs go to play, especially when they go to PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, oh my god, it's like the Leafs just get steamrolled. Like we have that game from a couple of years ago. Shout out Casimir Kaskiswo, wherever he is right now. That poor guy got lit up for 6 goals on like 40 shots that night in a 6-1 drubbing. That was like the beginning of the end of Mike Babcock's career and tenure in Toronto. It was like literally like that game. Then the game after was
Marc-Andre
Vegas
Fleury fired Babcock with his stick.
Yeah, single-handedly. He by Nick Patan, by the power of Nick Patan's glorious one knee, one tee. He fired Mike Babcock into the sun. But man, it just felt like every year the Leafs would roll into Pittsburgh, and it was like, okay, you
I know the feeling.
down as an L, because like it's
Bryan
Penguins,
gets this.
man.
Yeah.
Well, Bryan knows. Yeah, we know Bryan knows.
But
we'd be remiss to mention the siblings that were at the game that you said from the 2019 game there.
The
beautiful
parallels.
meme where the sister's just with the phone and the brother's just like he's got his toque on and he's in his element, man.
Yeah,
and they were both so happy on Saturday night. That was cool to see.
Good for them,
they were really pumped about it.
They made it onto the TV as well. Like, they got an interview with Kyle Bukauskas on Sportsnet. Like, honestly, hats off to them for playing into the meme. I know that they've been great sports about it. I actually reached out to the sister, not like after that game happened. I was just like, kind of crazy that you like.
Look at Bryan.
You reached out to the sister. What did you have to say to her?
I was just like, dude, how crazy is it that you like just overnight became like a Toronto Maple Leafs like sensation? Because it wasn't like nobody was picking. Everybody thought that they were like boyfriend and girlfriend because it was like the way
I remember this.
100%.
Dave, I remember
the way that she took the picture. It was like, you know, something that like your girlfriend and boyfriend would do, which I get it, guys. But they're brother and sister. Let's all calm our okay.
Dave, was this 2019 that or 2020?
Yeah, this is 2019.
Okay, I remember this. Yeah. And then
we didn't have much to cheer for, so it was like becoming a meme at that point was like it was funny, but like everybody was just pissed at each other too. So it was like
thing that I remember that you guys made a big deal out of was the cigarette guy in your arena.
The dirt guy. That was 2016-17 though, Bryan. That was
against you guys.
Yes,
he ended up getting a gig on TSN for a little bit from the whole thing.
I don't
They were
know
like, this guy talks small enough. Let's throw him on a show. I don't know if he still is, but Dark Guy was cool. I actually have a stupid story from 2019 too. I've probably told it to Bryan. I don't think I've told Dave. So anyways, like 2019, I take the subway to school, right? And one day I'm just on the subway and I immediately recognize someone. Immediately recognize him. It's Martina Ortiz Luis.
No,
It's the Leafs anthem singer.
my
I'm
queen
like,
right there, dude.
right?
I
I'm like,
love
I
Martina.
have to say hi.
Yeah,
I
100%.
have to. And this is a day on a Tuesday where in first year I had hockey twice a week as a class, part of my program. So I was rolling up on the subway on a Tuesday with my hockey bag, my hockey stick. I basically played for the Leafs, man. So I'm leaving the subway.
I thought you were gonna say, did she mistake you for somebody that worked at
Could
the
you
Scotiabank
imagine, bro?
Arena? It's like,
Oh
wait a minute,
yeah,
are you suiting up for on right D tonight? Yeah. I'm playing with Martin
yeah.
Merchant tonight.
Oh God, man.
Oh my
I think
god.
I could even show Marty up. Yeah, I just gave
Oh,
the faintest. Uh, big fan. Go Leafs, go! It's Martina. I
that's
got
so
a
funny.
smile out of it. I'm like, that's all I needed.
I
Thanks,
I
Martina. Have a good one.
always got that sense that she was so happy to be a part of like
Yeah,
Leaf Nation that she always like embraced it, and like that's what like you love to see. I know she's only like it's only the anthem singer for a lot of people, but it's
nobody
like
else recognized her, man. I had to like
yeah,
fucking cover my mouth, man.
yeah, you have to stifle a
Yeah,
smile there.
yeah, man.
No, but you know what? She like honestly, she was fantastic. She worked her heart into she worked her way into the hearts of a lot of Leaf fans just by being a fantastic singer. Like if
I
you
know,
listen to her "Oh Canada" rendition, it'll literally put like tears in your eyes. It's
there was
fantastic.
a
Shout out
rhythm to it. And she
Martina.
put her spin on it. Yeah,
Oh, loved it. Anytime I'd go to the game, it would be like standout attention for Martina's.
yeah,
Shout out to Natalie Morris now, who's the new
yeah.
anthem singer. I don't know if anybody's ever gonna fill that hole that Martina left, but Natalie's doing
We
a
gotta
great
give her
job
time.
so far. Yeah, no,
I'm waiting
100%.
for the playoffs when she gives us her 100%, right? Like, you know,
100%.
the anthem singers take it up a notch. One last thing on
They
anthem
have to.
singers. The Minnesota game, something I 100% recognize. Whoever the Minnesota anthem singer is, that guy was awesome, bro. That guy was like, he had like a hint of Andrea Bocelli in there, man. Like he
Oh,
was going,
really?
he was belting it, man. So shout out to that guy. I don't know his name, but that guy was good.
Fair enough.
You guys,
Yeah.
And that's literally it on the Leafs. Like
yeah, you
that
guys,
was-
you guys stretched that for a bit, eh? You guys got the
There's
value
one
out
more
of it.
thing we can talk about. There's one thing we can talk about. We can talk about a little bit about Connor Timmins. Let's bring up Connor Timmins.
Forgot about him.
So everyone wants to point to the Sioux Greyhound bias,
No,
and rightfully so.
He's a
He's a Sioux
greyhound.
Greyhound.
Oh
I'll tell you
Yeah,
what, Bryan.
alumni.
He played with two of the current Leafs on that team. He played with Rasmus Sandin. They were D partners, and he played with Mac Hollowell, who's played his first 2 or 3 games with the Leafs here this week because of our injury trouble. So we bring in Connor Timmins. We're losing Curtis Douglas. People point to Sioux Greyhound bias. Dubas loves his guys, and the first thing I thought of as well that was also brought up by some people is this smells like a Mason Marchment trade. It's kind of what it smelled like. And for those who don't know, Mason Marchment was traded for Dennis Malgin in 2019. And Mason Marchment has gone on to play for Florida last year. He's got himself a nice contract in Dallas. And Dennis Malgin is just getting his feet wet in the NHL now with the Leafs. So fair to say we haven't won that trade yet. Curtis Douglas is who the Leafs gave up for Connor Timmins. And Curtis Douglas is a 6'9" power that plays for the Marlies. Bryan got out of his seat.
Bryan
6'9".
Stop it, dude. I was gonna say, oh my god. Bryan's
He's literally the
6'9".
tallest. Yeah, he's the
Yeah.
tallest player in North America for hockey. So
Yeah, I was
taller
gonna
than
say.
Zdeno Chara.
I was gonna say Manta's like 6'5".
Yeah,
Manta looks
yeah,
like a
looks like
tower.
a giant out
Big boy
there.
too.
Yeah, Tage Thompson is 6'6", 6'7", depending on where you look. This guy's got 2 inches on Tage Thompson, so he's a unicorn in that sense. And I am a little like you can understand how guys who have that freakish athletic ability just because of their size could do something special. He hasn't shown it yet for the Marlies. He was decent last year production-wise. I don't remember the exact number, but to start this season, he hasn't been decent. He's been 1 assist in 13 games. I think it's fair. I think it's safe for the Leafs to make this trade. And in the event that Douglas does become something, it's tough to fault the Leafs. They turned a reclamation project who he was drafted by Dallas. Forget how many years ago, in like the 5th round. This is Curtis Douglas. Signed as a free agent with the Marlies. And we turned him into Connor Timmins. Tough to complain with that. Connor Timmins is an RFA after his contract ends this year too. So we keep control of him whether it's another trade or re-signing him. In terms of the player the Leafs are getting, I watched a little bit of a breakdown. I can't remember who the author was. Watched a bit of a video article breakdown, just some plays that he's been making on his conditioning stint and in his brief time in the NHL with the Avs mostly. He looks good. I liked what I saw. Really mobile on his feet, walking the blue line real nice, aggressive, decent shot, nothing crazy, but he's not afraid to put it on net. Looks like he can be a puck mover, and the biggest question with him is health. That's what it is. Concussion, shoulder injury, knee injury. It's kept him out of playing hockey basically the past 2 years. He's just coming off a conditioning stint. Probably going to get in a game with the Leafs this week. I don't have high expectations, but it's a body in a time where the Leafs need bodies.
Are you
Tough to
guys,
complain.
if you guys go into the playoffs with your current decor missing your like Muzzin, Riley, Brody, are
Yeah.
you guys concerned? A and B. Do you guys
Oh my
see
God, yes.
Do you guys
Yeah.
do you guys see a big move coming at the deadline if this is what you guys have going into the playoffs, or like at the deadline?
It's not necessarily a big move, but it's a move, right, Dave? It's a move. A move has to be made. Just either if it's even if it's for a rental, another body.
Interesting, because like you guys legitimately lost like half your top six.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
And what's your 1-2 right
Brody
now?
and Riley are obviously going to be back by our 1-2 right now is our top three defensemen are Gio, Sandy. Well, you know what? Let's give props once again. Justin Hall's played really well recently. He's been a workhorse, and we haven't seen him on highlights against the Leafs. So Justin Hall's been a workhorse. He's been our top pairing with Gio. They've been putting in the work. Sandy and Lilligren after that, and we're running Matt Caldwell and Victor Mete because of the Jordy Ben injury. One more thing. Justin Hall, Matt Hollowell. Sounds like a Pokemon evolution, bro. We got Hall and now we got Hollowell. What does Hollowell evolve into, Bryan?
Hallstein.
Yeah,
I don't know. That was on the spot.
Hopefully for our case,
I'll
Dimitri.
get back to you on that one.
Hopefully for us, it's Dmitry Orlov or something
Sure.
like that.
yeah.
That's the
I'm
evolution.
telling you guys, Orlov on 2.6 is insane value. So
Oh,
if, you know,
100%.
Yes,
if
but
you
you
guys,
have to get that retention. You have to be willing to retain, or you got to get a third team involved. And we love to say get the third team involved, but it doesn't happen as often as you'd think.
let's say
It's an
we're
You
option,
also have to
but
have a willing team, right?
the way
Like
yes,
you need
yes.
somebody that wants to eat the money.
the way I see
Yeah.
it, like if we're sellers and you know Kyle Dubas wants to throw out a nice American prospect at us, we can't really say no when Orlov's
Dude.
on expiring contract, right? And
Are you talking about Leafs
There
draft
was-
pick Brady Kessler? Is that who you're talking about?
no. I'm
Yeah,
talking.
no, you are. I think you are.
I'm talking about the brother of the leading scorer in the league right now, or top 5 in scoring right now.
I didn't know Connor McDavid has a
Up
brother
two.
that plays for the Leafs.
Okay, number
He's
two.
actually
Number two.
second.
He's
Sure.
number 2. Yeah.
Close enough. But no, like I definitely want to see what happens given your injury situation, because you know it's not fun having injuries on your team. I'll tell you guys that now. But the thing is,
Certainly.
you guys seem like to be managing well. You guys are still at least in a playoff spot, so that's good. Can't say so much about
No,
us, but
can't complain. Yeah.
Mhm.
I like the Leafs. If you look at the Leafs record, you would say, okay, this is where I expect them to end up by like before the season started. You'd say, yeah, this is what it would look like. It's been the path that we got there is not the most conventional, especially considering it's the same path as last year. It's just weird in that sense, but the record with no context looks about right. So
you guys
tough to complain.
you guys want to finish with hockey and then go into men's national team.
Yeah, let's. We have any other hockey thing like something small we want to bring up? No, we can
over
bring it
here.
up, and there's always enough content for the next episode and the one after that. So let's transition now. Go footy, guys. Start us off.
Okay, so you guys know a soccer game is good when Christian watches it, and and what I can say is that Christian did watch both Canadian national team games. We're recording this right after the loss to Croatia, but we'll give our thoughts about the Belgium game first, and then we'll go into Croatia. So, do you guys feel led on? Like, do you guys feel like
I
you
don't
guys
feel
were
led on.
debated a little bit? Like, I do. I can't lie. I felt like the Belgium game, we not easily could have won, but if the penalty hit A or B, we had a horseshoe like sitting somewhere in the locker room, we would have been able to pull it through, because at the end of the day, it was just the finishing. I think we played the better game. I'll be honest with you guys. And then I just want to shout out to Coach John Herdman. The F Croatia thing was definitely a tactic to get the media off Davies and David for the finishing and the penalty, because I bet you if he didn't do that, we're just going to be seeing the replay of that penalty over and over and over again. And credits to the coach. Obviously, Canada were out after that loss to Croatia, but I did feel, I felt a sense of like, I was entertained throughout the whole game is what I'm trying to say. My eyes were on it at all times.
100%.
And I don't think that, like, I'm disappointed given the context of looking at it from the outs, like the zooming out. But man, does it suck to be out?
In the moment,
yes,
yeah,
we tasted it, especially that first game.
Even
that goal today had like, oh my god, that's a Canadian heritage moment for I would say for about 20 minutes there. It was like, oh my god, like,
are we gonna do
you
it?
get through Croatia, like the sky is literally the limit. Like, man, sorry, Christian, go ahead. I could gush about like it all the
I know
time.
that you guys can get into the details, so like I'll keep it brief because I'll give you my casual take here. So, I paid attention during the qualifying process. It's not like I didn't. I can't say I watched every single game for the men's qualifying group there, but I caught it when I could, and I was immediately totally invested once the lineup started walking out onto the field against Belgium. When they rolled out that Canada flag, and it's against the Belgian flag, there is a regalness to the World Cup that you do not associate with Canada. They do not compute, and seeing it there was surreal. And at that moment, I'm like, this is sick. I'm in. And man, that first game, I was on the edge of my seat. It was so much fun to watch. And like I said, I cannot claim I'm some day oneer here, but I'm going to be paying more attention going forward. Now I know about some guys here. I know about Alistair Johnson, and he's going to the Celtic club in Scotland. And I know about Richie Larea on loan. Yeah,
it's a really good
have
move
no
for
idea,
him, man.
But okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So Milan Borjan making these saves, some mistakes here and there, but like making some big saves. Like, I'm proud of those guys. Like, I'm invested now. I even like said to myself, I'm like, if Canada played Italy, who would I cheer for? Because for those who don't know, like me and Dave, we're Italian, so we're used to cheering for Italy in international tournaments here. I don't know who I would cheer for.
Let me ask you guys both. It's more of a personal thing, but did it feel the same for you guys, like Italy and Canada, or was there more of a like sense of pride for one or the other? Personally, because I know Christian sings the national anthem when Italy comes out. You do.
I just fun to sing. It's just fun to sing.
Hand on my heart.
Yeah,
but
Italian anthem's really fun to sing.
But it's interesting because like you said, Canada versus Italy, who do you cheer for? But when Canada walked out, like you said, did you feel the same?
If I'm being honest, I felt more of a connection on an individual level. Just me. I felt something. I felt the good feels, man.
I felt the same way.
It's also different though when you're with people. Like when I'm with my friends and we're watching like the Euro 2020. Like that was an experience too. You get the same feels. So if it was up to just me, I think I feel a little bit more of an emotional investment in Canada. But from a family and friends perspective, I feel like their allegiances still lie with Italy. So I hope it just doesn't come down to it, Canada versus Italy. But if it does, I'm gonna have to make a decision. But in the meantime, I'll cheer them both on.
Dave, what about you?
Okay, so I'm honestly, I think I'm in the same boat with you, Christian. I think with Canada, I was feeling him definitely more on a personal level. Like, anytime Canada comes out for, especially in hockey's like our thing. Whenever, like, that's where we get most emotionally connected. Like, I could go back to 2010 Winter Olympics. Sidney Crosby calling for Jerome McGinley to pass him the puck back to snipe it past Ryan Miller for the golden goal. Like
Yeah.
that's ingrained in our generation,
Everyone.
golden goal, right? So I think on a personal level, seeing Canada on that stage, it's just something that I don't think I could have ever dreamed of. Like that's been a dream that I've had since I started watching soccer over a decade ago now, where it was like, I've got Italy here. Like me and Christian were around for the 2006 World Cup. Like I went down to St. Clair. I
Me
could
too.
the celebrations downtown when Italy won for many people here who are 2 generations, 3 generations removed from living in Italy. The celebrations were still like fantastic, but that was more of like a group shared celebration. I don't think anybody, like nobody that we know, is kind of like singing the Italian national anthem, basically type of thing. Like there's just more of a connection to Canada. Like this is where we live, right? And then to see them respected on across all of the soccer networks and stuff, especially after I will say they put up the fight against Croatia. By the end you could tell it really got to their legs. They didn't have it anymore. I know Atiba Hutchinson was kind of getting scapegoated a little bit. Put a little bit of respect on Atiba's name. That's 100 caps for this national team. He had to suffer probably one of the worst uh, national team losses in Canadian men's soccer history. It was an 8-1 drubbing at the hands of Honduras.
Even I remember that.
Like Honduras, guys, is not a soccer powerhouse, and we were on the cusp kinda of qualifying through CONCACAF, and it was just like, he's been through so much that for him to not have a fantastic tournament, I thought he played well for a 39-year-old holding mid. Like that's as much as you're gonna get from him. He's not Luka Modric here, guys. Like he doesn't have those types of talents. And we saw today, Luka Modric
He was
still class, still world class. Like that guy is deservedly a former Ballon d'Or for a reason, and he plays for Croatia. He'll show up for Madrid. He'll show up. At the end of the day today against Croatia, it just looked like, one team that was just severely outclassed. And you know what? That's going to happen. I think now, looking forward to 2026, we have a guaranteed spot. I think this tournament, we're just playing with found money at this point. Get the goal. We get the goal, first ever World Cup goal for Canada. Fantastic. Of course, it's Fonzie that scores it. Who else was going to score it? Quickest World Cup goal this year so far, of course, from the quickest player at the tournament. Now it's just like looking for the first point. That's going to be the most important thing going forward. Hopefully against Morocco, who pulled off quite an upset today against Belgium. We could definitely get into a little bit of Belgium talk. Dude, Belgium sucks. Like they're old. I will say this. I've been on the, not that I've been on the bandwagon, but I've hitched my horse to them in the past, and all they've done is just punch me in the mouth repeatedly every single tournament. 2014, 2018, they just don't show up. It doesn't help today or this tournament so far that Romelu Lukaku, their starting striker, who by all means should be up top. He wasn't fully fit to start the tournament. So that definitely didn't help Belgium's case. But with the type of talent that they were putting out on the field against us, against Morocco today, I'll also shout out Morocco, up and coming nation. They have some real talented players on that team. I don't think you can take them lightly anymore either. Only looking to get better now in the next coming couple of years. Bryan knows, I believe his name is, I don't think his name is Hakeem Mazraoui.
Yeah. He plays on Bayern.
Plays on Bayern. We know Achraf Hakimi, who plays on PSG. Bryan knows also Hakim Ziyech at Chelsea. Like
Magic
those are
today.
3 talented, potentially world-class talents on the Moroccan team, and we'll give them credit where credit's due. But with the type of talent that Belgium's lining up with, you're rocking up with KDB in the midst of potentially a record-breaking Premier League season with him playing with Erling Haaland at Manchester City. You also have guys like Yuri Tielemans, Yannick for Carrasco.
No, top to
Those are
bottom.
guys that
Top to bottom, they're like
top to
world-class.
bottom. I would say even on defense,
One of the
Jan
best goalies, too.
Vertonghen, Thibaut
Yeah.
Courtois, fantastic.
Probably
Probably
best.
the best. I would say he's
Yeah.
the best goalie as of right now. He also showed it against Canada and also against Morocco for quite a bit. He showed his talents. On defense, they're definitely lacking a little bit ever since Vincent retired a few years ago. They're starting to age. Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen, two staples of that Belgian team that are unfortunately, getting older. And now it's time for that Belgian team to look at Roberto Martinez, who, as a manager, I've seen him play in England. I've seen him play in England for quite a few years. He can get the odd result here and there. He is not the type of manager to lead you to World Cup glory. I would say you have a better chance with John Herdman's tactics than Roberto Martinez. And that's all credit to John Herdman, who was relatively an unknown prospect, star, whatever you want to call him, coming into this tournament. But for the Canadian fans who know, they know John Herdman is the real deal. That guy single-handedly changed both the women's and the men's national teams programs to make them into powerhouses in both of their respective conferences. He did a lot of work with the women's game here, and now he's going to continue to do the work with Canada. I think right now it's just hopefully they're able to keep him on for as much longer as they can before they transition to maybe somebody else. Hopefully for the next World Cup, he's still on the touchline. John Herdman, man, we said it before about how he kind of like deflected the blame from Davies to himself. I think what a selfless act to do. Like, of course, you say something else as outlandish as that to about Croatia, a footballing institution, basically, to this like plucky upstart country, basically. It's going to definitely run with some traction more than, Alphonso Davies missed a penalty. It's like, okay.
I will say this
Yeah,
briefly
sorry.
as you transition out. If Roberto Martinez copied Herdman's tactics, it'd be perfect because, like you said,
fantastic.
aging backline, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they have experience, and then they just let the front three just ball out, like do whatever you want, in the sense that you give them
only thing I
creativity.
have to say, only thing I have to say with that, Brian, though, is even in attack, like Eden Hazard is. If this was 2014, Eden Hazard, 2016, 2018, Eden Hazard, by all means, go for it. But this Eden Hazard doesn't look the same as when he did at Chelsea, when he was winning Premier League Golden Boots. This is Eden Hazard at Real Madrid, who's unfortunately struggled with weight, with injury troubles. It's a bit of a shell, but he definitely does have the talents to a technical degree. He definitely doesn't have that. I think the only thing different between the two attacks is that youthful energy that Fonzie, Tajon Buchanan, Jonathan David, even to an extent Kyle Larin, Junior Hoylett, who's not young at all, who's been in the Premier League longer than most people would like to care to know. Like that guy was in the Premier League almost 10 years ago with Queens Park Rangers. Like the guy is was an absolute baller for Canada in his day. Now his day's kind of starting to go past him. But those are 5 guys right there that just, they have that work ethic and they're also just so explosive. I just didn't see that out of Belgium, I think. And I fully agree with you, Brian. If you adopt that type of tactic from Roberto Martinez instead of playing more of a pragmatic approach, kind of like you have the talents, you could take it to your opponents. It was kind of just like they felt like they were kind of playing down to both Morocco and Canada. It was like you have the talents. Like it drives me crazy. Like, you know, Christian, Leafs fans here, like we know that the Leafs have talents, and we've seen it time and time again. They just kind of play down to their opponents. It looks like they're kind of disengaged, and that's really scary for Belgium. And then especially to see the comments coming out of the Canada game from Kevin De Bruyne saying, you know, we're not good enough to win the World Cup. Like, I get it if you're going to say that after the tournament's done and you're knocked out, but game one that you won, okay, granted, not in convincing fashion, but holy smokes, there's something wrong with that Belgium dressing room that needs to be definitely looked at after this tournament's over.
Yeah,
And that's my little rant.
Two things on John Herdman. Number one, how does John Herdman sit down with balls that big? Second thing, if John Herdman just decided to run for the prime minister role here in Canada, like, are we sure he would not win? Like, I think he would win. I don't know. Like, he could go up against anybody. I think we're voting for John Herdman.
I think many people might have that distinction right now. I don't think there's much love for the big cheese right now on top. So
if he can promise me a quarterfinals, a group stage exit,
100%. Sign me up.
But politicians always break their promises, Brian. That's the problem. So maybe you shouldn't promise.
Just get me to the round of 16. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah. I would run through a wall for John Herdman. So yeah, I hope you can keep that guy around. Like you said, until the next World Cup, at least that'll be special.
Definitely. And honestly, like some more personal things, not really a pod thing that you guys probably know, but I'm trying to go to a game like when it's here in Canada. Like I feel like that's a once in a lifetime experience. I don't care what teams are playing. Like I just want to see something. And
do you think if we're in the tournament, like they would put Canada, like some Canadian games in Canada? Do you think that
I think they put all three
matters at all? Right?
Yeah, I think they would.
It just kind of depends on they kind of make the games first basically, and then they slot the venues basically according.
Okay.
So that's why if you noticed with this tournament, some of those 5 a.m. games, they weren't the the headline games. The headline games were coming at 11 o'clock, sometimes at 8 o'clock, 11 o'clock, and 2 o'clock especially. Like those are the headline 2 o'clock games, or when everybody in Europe is up to watch. In like North America, that's like end of the workday kind of thing.
They do it well.
So it's just the perfect like circumstances. So it's kind of like that's where it's gonna be basically. Like it'll end up. I would imagine, that there's gonna be probably 1 or 2 games with featuring Canada at either BMO Field, I think, or
Vancouver one, BC place.
BC place has the other hosting duties here in Canada. So I think for sure we'll definitely get a game. But the way that the World Cup works is you don't buy tickets to one game, you buy tickets to the set of games. So in Canada, so in everybody's case, it's 3 games per group. So you basically follow the team. Me personally, dude, if I had the money, I would definitely either follow Canada or Italy around, especially Italy. Like that's my dream, is to follow Italy to, like, I don't know, go see a game in New York, or I don't know if they'll make them come here. How crazy would that be? Oh my god, I could just picture it.
It goes back to that argument we're talking about. All of Woodbridge, I think, is going to be cheering for Italy, and then the rest of Toronto would be cheering for Canada.
I don't know. I'm pretty close to Woodbridge. I might be cheering for Canada on the day. I have no idea.
I know. It would be families would be ripped apart, I think, man. Holy.
New generation.
That would be like,
yeah.
That game would be like whoever wins, we're happy kind of thing. Like if nobody wins, like sure, like you don't want to take the 1 point, but if somebody were to lose, at least the other team that wins, like, good on them. It's kind of like there's going to be less hard feelings basically if they end up playing each other, I think, for me. But
Where do you
I
guys want the
definitely
final
don't want
to?
to see that.
Where do you guys want the final to be? Because I have a location in mind, and I want to see if it's the same as you guys.
You're saying
For
for
me,
the
it's like
next one?
Toronto. Like, you guys have some stadium in mind. Well, I'm gonna guess Brian's actually.
Yeah.
I'm gonna guess Brian's. Brian wants it in Atlanta.
No.
I know.
Ooh,
I
that's
feel like he
that's a
likes
really
the
good show.
Mercedes-Benz Stadium, just
That
because
was
of the
my first
stadium.
thought.
That's what I
Okay.
initially wanted, but SoFi.
I was
Is that the new LA one?
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Dude, Brian, I'm
Fair
in
enough.
complete agreement. For me, it's
Yeah.
SoFi or MetLife
Yes.
in New York.
The
Like
Giants
you
one.
get either New York or you get LA to host. Like they're hands down one of those two teams, cities are going to host the final, and I think either or, it's not a bad choice either way.
That'll
Two
be
just
incredible.
beautiful stadiums.
It's no new camp.
Definitely
It's no new
yeah,
camp. It's no Wembley,
no way.
but it's up there.
Mhm.
You know.
In North American terms, it's the best we got.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
No Capital One though.
If you guys had to hitch if you had to hitch to one team now, like who's your pick now for the World Cup? Who are you cheering for?
Cheering for I'll always back Germany if like that's just been my team for years. I'm not looking too good right now, I'm not gonna lie. But fingers
Wide
crossed.
shot.
Fingers crossed. Hopefully Hansi Flick can I don't know, figure it out. But it's gonna be tough. But who I think is gonna win is gonna be I think it's gonna be either Spain or France.
Yeah,
Good
that
picks.
seems like the common picks. Dave, what do you think?
Okay, Christian. So what I'm getting at from this question is you need somebody now to cheer for. Now,
I think I have my mind made up, but change my mind, please.
okay. So I'm cheering for Argentina. I want to
Okay.
see the dramatics. Like Messi
Yeah.
winning the World Cup at the end of his long, illustrious international career. By all accounts, he's still going to be playing after
Storybook
the
ending.
season. He's supposed to be going to the MLS after this year.
Miami, right?
I saw a report
Allegedly,
that he's going to become
Allegedly, Busquets and Suarez already
Busquets
signed.
as well.
Could you
That's
imagine like
that's
TFC
insane.
versus Messi, Sergio Busquets, Luis
Man.
Suarez? Oh, whoa!
I might have to go buy an Inter Miami jersey with that. I don't think I will, but like, dude, it's gonna be crazy. So Argentina for me
Yeah.
is my pick to win. But
Okay.
if you want to see some really entertaining football, man, you can't go wrong with the samba style Brazil, dude. Oh my God. Neymar's out for the rest of the group stage.
Doesn't matter.
That's a
They're
big
still
loss.
lethal.
But dude, oh my
I
God,
watched
team
that
is
game.
they're
Charlison's
so
second
fun.
goal, eh? Goal of the tournament.
Already.
There's just
Charlison.
they have like they've like that's the closest I've seen to like when people talk about Brazil, they talk about, the samba style. Like that's what they're known for. The flair for the dramatics. That's probably the closest thing I've seen to the samba style in probably like 20 years. Probably not since like Ronaldinho and Ronaldo and Rivaldo were tearing up the pitch in like 2002, I think. Like these guys might legitimately be the real deal. And they might be on track for number 6. Like to think that they've been kind of down in the dumps, ever since they lost that infamous 7-1 game to Germany. I know Bryan could hold his head high on that one. But man, Brazil, if anybody is looking just a fun team to watch, Brazil, man.
They touch the
It's
ball
always
so
just good
nice.
vibes.
It's so tough for me to hitch myself to Brazil just because of it's like they're the big baddie in my mind, at least from a cat. It's like cheering for the Yankees, and we say this as Leaf fans. We're hilarious, bro. But anyways,
See, I think the Germans are actually like closer to the Yankees. They're just like that well-oiled machine. I just think Brazil's just fun. You know what I mean?
Is Brazil the Montreal, the historic
Yeah,
team, the
they
historic
kind of
side,
are.
right?
That's a good comparison.
Okay.
I would say they're closer to that.
But Brazil like is much better than the Canadians. Like
Yeah,
much
yeah.
much better.
Don't do that to them.
It's probably
Yeah,
something
dude.
closer to the literal Canadian like hockey team is better to compare them to.
Oh
I know
yeah,
obviously
yes, yes,
The
that's a
the
good
All-Stars.
dynamic of hockey and soccer internationally is different, but they're the powerhouse. They're
Mhm.
the de facto team. Me and Brian have a friend in common who cheers for Brazil, and I don't think I can bring myself to
No, you don't,
cheer
bro.
for Brazil.
Don't steep to that
Right?
level.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I did watch that Brazil game, like I said though, and I had never heard of this Vinicius guy before. Just the word Vinicius sounds like a Twitch streamer.
Oh,
If hey guys, what's going on here? It's Vinicius. Like that's what I imagine there. That's another reason. I don't know. I can't bring myself to
So
cheer for Brazil. You make a compelling argument, Dave. And for people
yeah.
who
No,
don't
they
have
got.
I'm sure they are a great team. And the Vinicius guy looked good. The Charleston goal, stellar, beautiful jerseys because they go with the yellow jersey but the blue shorts. There's not many teams that pull off the two looks between the shorts and the shirt.
that's
Super
heritage.
cool, heritage right there, right?
Real
It's a
heritage. Yeah.
unique look that you wouldn't like like just at first glance you'd be like that's kind of odd, but then you understand the Brazilian flag and everything, and it just makes total sense. If you've got no allegiances in soccer yet, then go with Dave's take. But I have to stick to my number two and my number three of Belgium and Netherlands. So I'm cheering for
Fair enough.
those guys. Yeah, I gotta stay loyal to those guys over there.
How do you
Fair
guys feel so
enough.
far? Do you guys feel like you guys can like sit through another week of consistent five a.m. to 5 p.m. games?
I'll let Christian answer that one.
Yeah, I haven't watched many 5 a.m. games. Like when I say many, I mean zero. I haven't watched a 5 a.m. game. But I'll catch anything after that, especially if I'm at home, easily throwing it on TV. Why not? Great background ambiance while I'm studying. So I don't have fatigue, no chance. For me, this is like Formula One for me, Brian, where I stepped into it fresh and I could take loads and loads of it. That's how I am with international soccer. I don't watch soccer all the time. When I can get some soccer I enjoy, by all means, keep it coming.
Dave, we know your
W,
answer.
Dave.
It's a yes.
Dave's like, yeah.
I was getting up at like 6 a.m. before to watch Man United games, and yeah, no, I could definitely do. Yeah, definitely hasn't been always that great getting up at that time, but I could definitely do. I could do a whole month like that. Like you give me group stage throughout the entire month of November and December, I'm in. I'm here for it.
100%. 100%. You guys got anything to add for the World Cup? I'm just gonna give my shout out here. But if you guys got more to add for World Cup, do it.
Good.
I I think I'm good. Yeah.
We'll talk more obviously next week because it won't be over by the time we get next episode out, and we'll be able to revisit all of these thoughts we just had and see how out of date they are. Especially me with Belgium and Netherlands, because even Netherlands didn't. I think they tied Ecuador, right? It was a 1-1 tie there, so
Yes.
it's not like they're not stepping on anybody's throats either. So I just want to give a shout out because this happened to come in the mail today. This is a shout out to Bryan Beliefs for the two books that I bought from him here off of Kickstarter. Where if you're a Leaf fan, you've probably heard of Bryan Beliefs before. Makes comics after every Leaf game. Cool stuff like this. Comic for every game. Gives you a little blurb, a story of the game. I really look forward to going through this at some point and just reminiscing about how the Leafs lost to the Habs and the Tampa Bay Lightning in the respective seasons. Little shout out there.
Do you
Shut up, Brian.
do you still have the Steve Dangle signed book, or is that Dave? I remember one of you guys had it.
I have it. I do have it. I did go to a Steve Dangle book signing. Absolutely. I went there. I have the book, and I can safely say I haven't read it yet. I need to read it, man. I haven't read books consistently since like freaking elementary school. It's you got to commit to them because I don't know. Like stopping and starting doesn't appeal to me. I got to be able to say I can get this book done in the next week or two, and then I'll do it. But like just from a sport content perspective, I'm just like, do I read this book or do I read 3 articles about the Leafs, the NHL, and maybe another sport? And that's kind of my obvious choice.
Well, we'll end up with one more story. Speaking of Steve Dangle, Dave was actually went viral on Twitter because people thought he was Steve Dangle.
What? This is news to me, bro.
I forgot about that. That's so funny that you were.
I remember that, man. Oh my god.
Dude, so
How long
funny.
ago was
And
this?
I didn't even meet Steve. Okay, so quick story. I'm at the Leaf game with my family, with my mom, my brother, my dad. And it was just me and my mom. I think my dad and my brother, we had two like separate seats. I know I can see Bryan dying of
Bro, you
laughter.
went viral. You went viral. There was like
Okay, I
20K
did.
retweets on that thing.
No, it wasn't
How many?
20K. It was like almost
Oh,
1,000. It was like
okay.
it was like a couple hundred. It was a couple. So what ended up
I like how we
happening
went from
was
23K to a couple hundred. But
yeah, I
anyways,
know Bryan
yeah.
likes exaggerating my popularity. Um so what had ended up happening was we had come out of like our seats. I don't think the game had started yet. And
Yeah.
I'm walking by like some of the things and I notice at the 50-50 counter, I look over and I see Adam Wild. I'm like,
Hey,
what the hell's that? What's Adam Wild do? Oh, I was like, what's he doing at the Leaf game? He runs one of the most successful Leafs podcasts,
yeah,
maybe potentially one of the most successful hockey podcasts now.
yeah.
And so I was like, I was starstruck. Dude, I absolutely love the Steve Dangle podcast. Like, I listen to them any chance I get. I know Christian's in the same boat. We try to send Bryan some of the stuff sometimes, and like I know he'll give it a listen here and there. He's not gonna sit here and say that he's the biggest fan, but he does respect them. I know that
I listen
for
to
sure.
more Adam Wild on Virgin, to be honest with you guys.
He's a great host. I
Yeah, man.
love listening to Adam talk. And
Yeah.
so I saw him and I was like, and my mom knows him, like, he's got the Marilyn Dennis,
Connection as his son. That's her son.
nepotism. I wouldn't say nepotism syndrome. That's her.
Nice.
And yeah, that's a harsh word to say. I'm sorry, Adam. End up. But yeah, so I was just like, oh, dude, I'm a really, really big fan. Can I have a picture? He took a picture with me. I posted it. I forgot what just witty comment I said, and I tagged him. He liked it, retweeted it. I checked my phone after the first period, so I had tweeted that out before the anthems went on. And okay, this game, it was the I remember clear as day. It was the St. Patrick's Day game against the
Phillies?
Flyers. Yeah, against the Flyers. This would have been
Jake
like
Muzzin 2-goal game.
Yeah. Oh my god, dude. How do you remember more about? Were you there at that game?
No.
Oh, it's just like one of those
I
things.
just remember.
I remember that game was a barn burner as well.
Yes.
So yeah, then I went to check my phone after like the first intermission, and you could tell like I was getting a couple buzzes here and there, and I was like, "Uh-oh, something might be happening on my phone." So I went to check, and I was up to like a few hundred likes, and I would say it was close to like 100 retweets at this point. And a lot of the people, like I know Mrs. Dangle gave me a like. I think Steve did as well. Because I tagged Adam and I tagged Steve. And I think I tagged Jesse. I don't think Jesse I don't know if he ever saw it. But I know Adam saw it and I know Steve saw it, I'm pretty sure. And all the comments I was getting was, I must have got 5 or 6 separate comments saying, dude, I didn't realize Steve Dangle was at the game. Like, oh, Steve's looking really tall. Like he's looking really tall beside Adam. Stuff like that. Like I'm a big guy. And I was like kind of crowding Adam. Sorry, Adam, but you're not the tallest dude. I'm just a freak of nature. I'm like 6'2", like 250 plus pounds. So I'm just a big
Are you
dude. I'm a
right-handed?
unit.
Do you
I
shoot
am
right-handed?
right-handed. Yeah, I am actually. Yeah, call Kyle Dubas. I never played for the Sioux though, so he doesn't like me that much. So,
Fair enough.
So that's my my one night of fame. It's still up on my Twitter
good.
actually. Like it's there. It's like one of my pinned tweets. I think it's just like funny story.
That has to be one of the
That's a
funniest
funny
things
story.
I've
That's
seen.
good.
Yeah, man.
All right, Dave, I'll let you end it off.
I forgot about that. I don't know how you remember that.
Because they're talking about the book, like Christian talked about the book, and I thought about another Leafs book, and then I was like, "Oh, who wrote this Leafs book?" And I thought about Dave. My brain just went full circle. But
yeah, I didn't write no Leafs books, but maybe in the future we'll have a group collab
no
on a
chance.
Leafs book
No,
in the future.
You guys can do your thing. I won't. Anyway, Dave, finish up. I'll let you guys. Dave, close it today.
All right. You just put me on the spot there, Bryan. Head to our YouTube channel. I post regularly on there. You'll find clips like this. you'll find the podcast as well as other from the podcast. I posted on TikTok today. I think we might have hit our TikTok view, like our goal. We're at like 1,400 views, so a little clap there. And it's just you two on that clip. So hats off to you guys for just a stellar conversation.
What was the conversation?
Um,
I didn't look.
It was no, it's fine. It was what was it? Oh, it was you guys were talking about shootouts. And I was just like, I hammed it up on the marketing. I was like, you guys are like, shootouts suck. We don't want the shootout anymore. It was just like stuff like that. And we got a couple of people actually responding to us. So that was nice to see. If you guys like our content, we love the interactions. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. You know what I mean? What else are we going to do here? We got our affiliate links. Be sure to head to you'll find it in the description of this of this video. NHLShop.com, Canada and the US link down there. Head to Razor as well if you want any gear that they've got. They've got a wide variety there. We also have go to Fubo as well. That's another affiliate link. I don't know what else am I. You do this a lot better than me.
Yeah, just subscribe, like our socials, do all that fun stuff. Get the phone app, check our articles. We have some World Cup stuff coming.
Head to our website as well.
And
100%. Bryan works hard on his articles.
I do. You guys don't though. Anyway. Anyway, we will end it there.
All right.